Hi guys, I'm mostly dedicating this video today to those of you who have been, following my channel for many years now, but I also want to use this video as a little bit of an introduction to me if you are new here and maybe you're unaware of like my first videos that I started posting on this channel. I want to talk about a few things actually. So stick around, it won't just be what I'm talking about right now. How does Christianity intersect with the world that I live in? And how can I learn to follow Jesus in an everyday kind of way? I wanted to share how in the beginning of this channel, I was in a place where I was going through some health challenges and I was like a mom of very young children. I found YouTube to be an awesome way to share my faith with people. That was something that I had always wanted to be able to do more of. And at that time, I wasn't really able to serve in person at church. So I saw it as a blessing from God to be able to serve God in this way through YouTube. I've always tried to be honest about what I share on here. I kind of chose not to do the thing that will get you a lot of views, but instead I wanted to just share what was in my heart at different times throughout the years. And one of the consequences of that has been that I've been able to sort of like document my walk with God for the last years on this channel, including like exploring different topics and entering certain spaces online of different Christian views. I had shared in one of my most viewed videos on this channel my experience going through like different churches and different denominations and kind of like just my own experience talking about pros and cons. I think some people were like, why have you gone to so many churches? It has been due to me moving different places and us wanting to attend the local church in that community. Later on, when I got married, it has been more of a thing of navigating, finding the right church for us, given our situation at the time and my husband's ministry in like worship team and opportunities and things like that. It's very interesting to me because I know that God has been leading me and helping me to learn more about himself. One of the last things that I had mentioned on that video years ago, I had stopped attending a church close to where I live still due to my health issues at the time and like something else that it's I'm not sure. It's I don't think we ever really discussed it much with the church body at the time. It was one of those things where my health was so bad that I just stopped attending that church, and it just kind of turned into a thing where I don't even remember exactly, but eventually we ended up learning about another church because I was looking into homeschooling programs around near me, and so that's how I was introduced to the next church that I would attend. I will say that this is just my perspective. It doesn't mean that that was the desire of the leadership. That church was very big on, your community and being community to people. And in my situation at my age at that time, we grow in our knowledge and our wisdom. God teaches us things, and at the time where I was at, I just felt like my community had failed me because I felt so sick. I didn't know how to understand what was going on, and I am so grateful that God used that church to help me and my husband in that difficult season of life that we found ourselves in, being new parents, and there were kind people. We made some friends there, but at the same time, I felt like my church failed me, like let me down. There were different things. I guess my situation was very different because I felt that the opportunities that the church had for me to have community and build community, I felt like I couldn't even participate in those because of my personal issues health-wise. I would say now that probably the right way to go about leaving a church is to just thank your leadership and let them know of our plans on moving on and the reason, and just try to like leave no questions, no misunderstandings, so that nobody assumes the worst of anyone. And also, I probably, now that I'm older, looking back, I probably should have communicated to my pastor about how I was feeling, and who knows, probably the pastor would have been very willing to help me out and come up with a solution for my very unique needs at the time. You grow and you learn, right? I don't know. I wonder if some of the people that I knew at that church will know exactly what I'm talking about, like who I'm talking about. And maybe this is like a good way for me, like if you guys are still keeping track with my channel, yeah, feel free to like send me a message and I would be happy to like go more into detail about that if you'd like. Eventually, we moved on to this new church. It's a little farther from where we live, but I've shared about it a little bit on my blog and my website in the past. But this church was a good opportunity because at the time you probably saw some videos where I was very passionate about not listening to prosperity gospel preachers, which was a little bit of my background, and I was very, maybe like what people call cage stage about that topic. And I was so eager to find like a church where I felt, like there are people online that you listen to and then you don't realize, wait a minute, like don't just assume that their harsh criticism of certain churches is 100% true and the case for your situation, But I was so eager, like I was just thinking, I need to find a church that they preach about Jesus Christ. And I will say that I think I did share this in the past video, that the prior church, what I really liked about it was how transparent the leaders were about sharing their own struggles, their own personal difficult story. And I really liked that because of what I was going through. I wanted people that were real. And so then it was interesting how the next church, I was more about like, I want to visit a church now that I can learn in my knowledge about the Bible more, and not just how to apply it in my life, but I want to know more. That was like my time where I was like, give me all the theology. So we started going there as family, and then COVID happened, and then it was hard because we didn't really get to know people. We were just getting started there. And so I tried to connect through the online opportunities that they had. And so we were watching online for I don't know how long it was, until finally we came back in person. And so I was there for a while. My kids really liked the children's ministry, again because of probably my personal situation health-wise. Also mostly the busyness of life, going to like soccer practices and things like that, going through personal serious issues recently, especially with my elderly parents. It was just really hard to participate in those situations, those opportunities where you can get to know people better. We just always felt like it was hard to make friends without, being able to do those things, it was hard. I was really hoping that maybe we could go to the church more so as a family. And it's one of those things that it's important for a family to go to church together. As a Christian, we should be growing together, and for different reasons, we weren't able to do that all the time. And there wasn't that much opportunity at a certain point for my husband to participate as much as he felt his ministry was. We also didn't really feel like the places where he was ministering were the best fit for our family. And I was just always mindful of not making any major changes with the kids church-wise. I started to feel like I want to go more of a 100% thing. I want us to go to church as a family. We were kind of in a hard place because, it was like, how can we do this and be in a good place for our household? So God provided the opportunity to my husband to start playing at a church. It was around the time of Easter, a little before that, and so I finally decided, I heard good things, and my husband had said that he thinks this could be a good church for us, for our family to make this our church. Kind of a new church. I went, and I've always been big on making sure that they have a trustworthy, a good children's ministry, that my kids will be safe, that I can trust the people that will be taking care of my kids, that they will learn about the Bible. And so I've been going there ever since. It's been a change, but it's been good. I've been growing in my knowledge of the Bible. I'm very happy. My husband, it's nice to see him serving in the ministry that he knows God has called him to participate in. So we've been able to go to church as a family for several months now. I did want to just briefly mention that I found it so ironic that in that video, before I had started going to the previous church, I had talked about how I've never gone to a Baptist church, but I think I would want to go check it out. And it turned out that the church that I ended up going during the COVID time, that used to be, it's a little unclear, Baptist. And so it's interesting how without realizing it, I ended up able to kind of get a little bit of a taste of what it's like to go to a church that has a Baptist background, at least. This church that I'm going to now, not exactly sure the denomination. I'm under the impression that it's non-denominational. It's what I want. I like that so far. I agree with what they teach. As I was volunteering and having, I like the whole, you have to be fingerprinted, you have to get a background check. I like that. I like the rules, the things that they're all about, and that the things that are important, they're there. It's like, this is what we believe. And so I'm glad that God opened up the opportunity for my husband and for us to, he brought us together. And so I think everything works for the good. Everyone's story, their Christian story, is going to look differently, and it's a journey. Sometimes things seem so simple. Every family has their unique needs and situations, and marriage, it's a constant learning, okay, how do we operate as one also, right? So yeah, it's that's my focus right now in my life. I want to be a family that we are very involved and we make church a priority, and I'm walking with God with, the things that my past, and I thank God that He's with me and He's helping me, and I trust that He's going to help us to be able to be a part of community, and the ups and the downs. This went a little longer than what I anticipated. I honestly thought I was only going to talk for like 5 minutes about this, but this is like part 2 of that one video, I guess. My desire has always been to be able to be a part of a church for like a long time. Ultimately, it's going to depend on God, his plans for our life. I wanted to share this also because if you're still listening, if you knew me from my other church, I didn't really feel like, like I was someone that needed to share this with the leadership, but who knows, like right now that I'm talking about it, maybe I should have, even though I felt that way. I wasn't someone that was, I had not even felt that I was able to volunteer at that church just because of my health. And I felt like that was a good church where I was able to rest and just benefit from those that volunteered. They really helped me because I felt like I didn't have any time to myself. So when I would go to, if you don't know, I homeschool my kids since they were in kindergarten, preschool. So it was even the really nice lady at the church that helped us and helped my son feel, that he can, separate from his mom for a while. And she told me, I really want you to be in a place where you can have that time to yourself during this service. And so I will always appreciate her for what she did for me and my family during those years, and all of the leaders. I did want to talk a little bit about, I was saying that I wanted to share about that church just in case. I know there's like a few people that knew about my channel, and it was very sweet. One time the pastor had mentioned about a book club that I had started online, and he had mentioned it while we were like on Zoom, and that was very nice of him. So if anyone became like a viewer to my channel as a result of, like people from that church passing on the word that I have a channel, I wanted to share that there was no bad feelings, no like reason for me to leave that church, except that I truly just believe that God opened an opportunity for our family, and that's why we left. But I did want to share also a little bit about a topic that I think that if you know, you know. And I guess this will be the thing that I talk very little about. There was a moral failing that I learned about recently, and I want to talk about it in terms of just in general. I think that people that are listening to my videos online, maybe they find themselves in a situation where, like I was, like maybe you're in a hard place and it's hard for you to go to church, and so maybe you're looking for a church. And so I like to share topics for your consideration. Maybe you can learn from my experience or just food for thought. Feel free to disagree with me, that's okay. But I wanted to talk in general. What happens when you are attending a church? I'm not talking about my new church, just so I put that out there. What happens if you go to a church or you hear about a church that someone that you saw as a leader or was a leader has a moral failure? And not just that, because I think most people that have gone to church at one point or another, their leaders have fallen into like some type of sin involving, another person, like adultery or something like that. What happens when it's especially grievous and it's criminal? It's one of those things. It's like, are there any victims because of the criminal moral failure? I just wanted to speak to leadership in particular. It's often heard that we're being very transparent, but at the end of the day, like if the church, for their good, what do you want to say? They have good intentions. They don't fully disclose all of the information in order to protect what God is doing in their church, or in order to protect the family of the person that has failed. It's very important that we learn as Christians, as churches, that what's most important is protecting the sheep. And that means that one way to do that is to be very clear in condemning the actual sin, the criminal sin, and being clear what it was, why the church won't stand for that. And we should care more about that than our own reputations. And even if that means that there will be consequences, people will, it will make it harder for the family of the person that failed. I think that's where the church truly supports the family, that they do their best to condemn all wrong words and treatments to the family that they still want to protect and help and be there for them. That's the true way to support that family, not by concealing information, but by putting the information out there for everyone to learn from the church leadership themselves. No one should have to go to online, public records to find out what was it? What did this person do? What was the moral failure? No one should have to go find that information on their own if you possess that information. And no one should have to learn about this information through journalism people, through websites, through your community group on Facebook. It should be the church that is the first to provide that information, the first to make sure there are no victims, the first to comply with the police, and the first to be there for the church, to answer their questions, to comfort them, not to leave the church in a vague state of even former church people. There needs to be full transparency. I think that's all I want to share about that. We're supposed to be the light in this world like Jesus was when he was here, and how he continues to be through his followers. And we have seen a certain type of example of someone that seemed to do his best to be able to be a light in this world and follow his convictions, and that is the person of Charlie Kirk. It's been, I don't know if it's been a week already, but since we heard about his assassination, and there have been so many different reactions to this situation. It's sad, honestly, the way that some Americans are dealing with this, or certain religious backgrounds are celebrating it or using that to promote their content online, to benefit from it, to bring the focus on themselves. And I was just thinking about how there is a lot of hate in this world. There are a lot of wicked people, evildoers that we don't even know. We walk past them or drive past them. There are a lot of people that are so lost, so full of hatred, maybe even demon possessed. It's just really dark. It's a dark thing. Even the way they would describe themselves, their experiences, it's not a normal situation. It's not something that everyone experiences that leads them to do certain things. Or, Jesus taught that what goes on in the heart, that's where it starts. The thoughts that we have, the things that we think about someone else, you just have to put a stop to their hatred. But at the same time, you're you have a lot of hatred in your heart and you're about to do something that is like right up there with like the worst type of manifestation of hatred. So Jesus came to teach us about his light. So Jesus came to teach us about his light and how we are to think about things. He came to teach us the truth. A lot of the way that we're supposed to think, we're supposed to process things, we're supposed to react, that's supernatural, the way that God commands us to be. We're supposed to be known by our love for each other. It's very interesting to go online. It's so easy to read all these things that to us it's like disgusting. Like, how dare you? Why are you commenting about, for example, Charlie was about to become Catholic, or Charlie was about to, he was very interested in this branch of the church, or he actually secretly said negative things about, this foreign leader and all of that. And it's so easy for us to get lost in that. And I've heard someone say before that flesh hooks flesh. So when someone is being very carnal, so we want to be careful not to be hooked into behaving the way that we are finding very disgusting online. And instead remember that we have the Holy Spirit inside of us, and everything else that is contrary to that we have to remember that's another spirit operating in those people. What we can learn from Charlie's example is that he really respected people that he disagreed with. He was very forthright about what he believed was the truth, and he was always trying to make sure that he was living according to what was most important, which was sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. So instead of getting so angry or wrapped up with like whatever else is going to come up, instead of like dividing, we should follow his example. And he was following Jesus' example, so ultimately we should maintain Jesus as the focal point, even when all of these things are really tempting and we want to engage in that other type of spirit that is not of Christ. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that. That's what's been going on this side of the camera. Please leave your comments in the comment section and I would love to read those. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Sign up for my monthly newsletter at susanmorales.org, and if you would like to support what I do, become a member of this channel or a patron, and as a thank you, I share extra videos there. You can find the links in the description section below.